Good evening. This is such a wonderful problem to have. Everyone is wanting to talk to each other. This is an excellent problem to have. Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Sherry Ryan. I'm the Dean of the Mark School of Public and International Affairs, and I just want to extend a very, very warm welcome to you to this launch event, the Mark School Executive Doctor of Education and Higher Education Administration. We are so thrilled to welcome you here this evening. We have so many incredible guests here in the room. And before we get started, we'd like to see how many prospective students are in the room. We want to acknowledge you and express, stand up so we can acknowledge you and express our appreciation for you. Fantastic, don't be shy. All right. This is truly, truly a wonderful evening. We are so thrilled. And tonight marks a historic moment for our school and for Baruch College. For more than 4 decades, we've been a leader in preparing higher education professionals. Many of you in the room might have graduated with our Masters of Science in Education and Higher Education Administration. And now we're launching this EdD. We're taking a bold step forward, building on this legacy and expanding our commitment to developing leaders who advance equity, social justice, inclusion in our institutions of higher education. And this is certainly no easy calling at this particular moment in time. And I have a feeling that our keynote speaker is going to talk about this. So why does this new degree program belong in a School of Public and International Affairs? We feel very strongly that higher education leadership is deeply connected to public service and to the policy landscape. Our graduates across the spectrum shape institutions that serve diverse communities, drive social mobility, and foster innovation. This new EdD program at the Mark School is a natural extension of our school's mission, and I believe it will supercharge our commitment to the basic values of individual freedom and democracy. This evening is both a celebration of achievement and an invitation to all of you. I think you've accepted this widely to partner with us. We're here to honor the work that brought us to this milestone. It was a full 2.5 years of work to launch this degree program. And we invite you, our colleagues, supporters, and future students to join us in building a vibrant community of practitioners, scholars, and leaders. So thank you all for being here. I so look forward to celebrating the launch of this new degree program. And it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce President David Wu, a visionary leader himself in higher education administration, who truly understands the value of offering an EdD at Baruch College, an institution nationally recognized for advancing social and economic mobility through post-secondary education. Thank you, David, for being here with us tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Well, thank you, Dean Ryan, for that a great introduction. And this is really a great privilege and honor for me to be here with all of you. And this is the launch of really one of the distinctive program, as Dean Ryan has already shared with you. And this is EdD in Higher Education Administration. And this is a little bit of a strange moment in the sense that I've been in higher ed administration for quite some time, but I never got a degree for it. So this is really a unique program in many ways. But this doesn't happen overnight. As Dean Ryan said, the program itself was in the work for 2.5 years. But many of you may not know, this is really a culmination of more than 4 decades of programming in higher ed administration at Baruch. And of course, I just run into a colleague in the elevator, and she said that she has been waiting for this for 15 years, and she actually got a master's degree in higher ed administration from us. And so this is just the clear evidence that we are building on this very solid foundation of offering higher ed administration at Baruch. So this is a wonderful moment to see this happening at the doctoral level. And of course, our goal for this program is many different fold. So in many ways, as Dean Ryan already mentioned, and this is building on the great foundation of Baruch, and now, fair warning, now I'm going to enter my typical president bragging mode. So in many ways, we are a natural laboratory for success in higher education. And so many of you who are familiar with Baruch knows that we are nationally recognized as a leader in advancing social and economic mobility. And we're not the only ones saying this. We've been recognized the #1 social mobility engine by the Social Mobility Index 8 years in a row. Not 1 year, 2 years, 8 years. And just to give you some hard figures, more than 65% of our undergraduate student population qualify for federal Pell Grants, 65%. And yet our graduates compete head-to-head with peers from some of the top institutions around the country, including the Ivies. And Baruch is consistently ranked among the top colleges in the nation for return on investment, with the graduate entering the workforce with this average salary 12% above the national average, and achieving the long-term success without the burden of heavy debt. More than 85% of our graduate with no debt, 0 debt. So this, in many ways, that's why I say that this is a natural laboratory for higher ed administration, because I think we do have something to offer in this laboratory, if you will, and to look at the future of higher education in terms of the kind of value add and the value delivered to our student population in the way we were fortunate enough to be able to do. And in many ways, building on this foundation, we have also turned this program into an online executive program for a good reason, because in many of our cases, a vast majority of our impact are here more regionally in New York City, and in many ways in the proximity area. By making this degree online, we will be able to serve many of the institutions and aspiring leaders across the country. And so that, in many ways, is designed and breed into design of this program, and allowing that local, national, and global audience to be part of this really exciting program. As you already see in the room, many of the first class of students already signed up, and I know they got a lot of inquiries already, and this is a clear evidence that this is a program I'm sure is going to be greatly successful. Now, of course, we don't do any of this work in isolation, and we are very, very much part of the great vision of the City University system. And one of the great opportunities that many of the CUNY institutions offer is what you see here at Baruch. And of course, there are many obstacles that require some courage and the bold vision to make this work. And leading this vision is our chancellor. And Fellow, as I call him kindly, and Felix Matos Rodriguez. And Fellow is one of the great leaders, as everybody knows here. He understands the challenge of facing higher education nationally, and he's guiding the system with courage. And by God, you need courage these days to lead a higher ed institution. And with the size and scale of CUNY, and the creativity and the clarity of purpose, and which I'm certainly inspired every day by that leadership, and propel us to do the kind of the work that we do. It is my great pleasure and honor to introduce our Chancellor of the City University of New York, Felix Matos Rodriguez.
Thank you so much, David, for the kind introduction and the outstanding leadership here at Baruch. Dean Ryan, thank you so much also for welcoming all of us here and for your leadership also. I'll begin by saying that particularly this stage here brings me fond memories. One of the most important things that the chancellor gets to do in a wonderful institution like the one that we have at CUNY is to nominate individuals to the board to serve as presidents of our different campuses. And the first nomination that I made to the board was your very own President David Wu. And I think that time has proven that that was a very wise recommendation to the board. And I think that we want everybody here to acknowledge his incredible leadership here at Baruch. And thank you, David, for that and for your friendship. I also want to welcome, and for those of you who are in the program, you're going to begin the first set of career-connected lessons, and I'm going to describe a typical administrator speech as I go, so that you can have a blueprint when you go. In another setting, you would thank the funders. Right? You would begin by that. So that gives me a great opportunity to acknowledge two key partners that we have working with Governor Hochul in the state, supporting the work that we do. And Danielle McMullen is here, who is the Assistant Secretary of Education and works very closely with us. And Angel Vasquez from the Labor. Where's Angel? I saw him earlier back there. Thank him also. He's the Deputy Secretary for Labor. So key partners in the work that we do here at CUNY. Thank you for your support. In a second, I'll have the great opportunity to introduce a dear friend and someone who provides me with inspiration every day, and particularly in the times that we're facing, our keynote speaker, Ted Mitchell from the American Council of Education. So give Ted some love. I'm also very, very happy to see some old friends who've been really part of my journey at CUNY, but also of some of the great successes here at CUNY. Scott Evenbeck, who used to be the president over at Government Community College, and before becoming mega super university professor, whatever the title is that he has here at Baruch. Where is Chris Rosa? Where is Chris? Chris, here we go. Thank you, Chris, for being back. You can give Chris some love. This is one of the number one bestseller authors in higher ed. Where is John? John Mogalescu. Great to see John also back there. Who's working on a second book? So if any of you want to get some quotes and plugs, go see and talk to John. But great to see dear friends and folks who've been really special in their work in higher ed administration here at CUNY. The second part of giving remarks is make sure that your comms team coordinates with the people giving remarks before you, right? Because often when you go third or fourth in a program, you realize that many of the talking points bragging about the program are already being said. All right? So you have a choice. You can repeat them and disregard that the audience is suffering through that remark, which is often the way that most speakers go. But I won't do that, right? And David made a really wonderful job describing why this program matters, giving you a sense of the history of the journey that got us here. It's a historic program for Baruch and for CUNY, and we take great pride in that. It's the first educational EdD program within the school here. It's also, I think, the first one which is fully asynchronous. Did I get that right? Yes. And for those of you a little bit older, asynchronous means, right, that you can mix online and in-person here. So this will be the last time that you see the folks who stood up in person here. It's the last time you'll ever see them because they'll be taking most of their courses online for the rest of the program. But I mentioned that because that matters given the kind of program that we're building, right? The kind of talent that is going to be pursuing degrees in higher ed administration are probably folks who are in the trenches, right? With day jobs, working very, very hard in mission-driven organizations at this particular hard time. And if you built a program that it didn't think about their needs, there'd be no program, right? So I give kudos to Baruch, not just for building a Class A stellar program, but to think about who the audience is and who do we want to reach out, right? And as David mentioned, we have ambitions that this is a national program. So we want it to be open. So we needed to be incredibly flexible in doing that. So that first is also very connected to the thinking and the thought that went into this program, which allows me to go into the other part of administration speeches, which is David brag about Baruch. My job is to brag about the system. All right? And that is often something that doesn't go as well in the individual campuses. Right? Because you all like to think that the system and the central office is really an unimportant afterthought that really just complicates all your life, right? And we might do that from time to time, but I'm here to remind you that without the $150,000 that we invested from CUNY Online to make the program happening, we wouldn't be here, right? And individual campuses like to complain when we put obstacles, and they forget when they give me money to be able to get things done, right? And one of the key roles of the system is identifying the important, unique things that all our campuses do and provide support for them so they get to do that. And I'm really, really proud that in this CUNY Online initiative, which was providing campuses with opportunities to invest in the kind of technology and curriculum development that programs that needed to be fully online or asynchronous require, that we made the investment. And obviously, in this case, we made the very right investment here with this program in Baruch. And you can clap to that also. The last thing is that I want to echo what David said also about not just quality in the design of the program and in the faculty that get to participate and the events and the programming that's going to be part of this program, but also of the ambition, right? And we do think that there are many, many things that the CUNY story needs to be told and needs to be shared regionally and nationally. Tons of things that we can improve, right? And that's why many of us who are committed to this work, we wake up every morning committed to that, committed to the communities that we serve here in New York, committed to the wonderful students that come, and committed to our faculty and our staff, right? And I know the kind of talent that we have here at Baruch and elsewhere in the system doing that. But the programs that we have built, the mistakes that we have made, the successes that we've made, the unique combination of affordability, excellence in the faculty and the staff, and the quality and innovation of our programs needs to be told and needs to be replicated and needs to be adapted all across the country. This program would allow us to do that and to be able to tell that. And for that, I'm incredibly thankful to the Baruch team for putting this together. And I'm really looking forward to the stories that come out from this succession of graduates that we get from the program. The program speaks to our values: advancing opportunity, broadening access, and fostering equality and social mobility. And those values, no matter what's happening in other parts of the country, no matter how hard the winds might be blowing at times in our direction, are key values here, right? That we will stand by them. And the graduates from this program are going to have that as a badge of honor and distinction moving forward. And I am delighted to be part of this historic moment. So with that, second part is, and I was really invited because, Ted Mitchell is ACE CEO, and for the next 2 weeks, I'm still his board chair, right? After that, I just have that wonderful position, which is past board chair. But I do want to take a great point of privilege in introducing Ted Mitchell, and kudos to the team here for inviting Ted to speak. Part of higher ed administration is that you're going to get to serve in a whole number of boards, right? Many of them things that will be dear to your heart and you care about. Others things that they come with the territory of the position. When I became chancellor, I got a call from Ted, invited me to be again. I have been in the ACE board when I was president of Ostos, and way back in the dark ages, and invited me to do that. I had a conversation with my board chair the week before as part of my assessment, and he says, "You're overboard, fellow. You're overcommitted, so you need to scale down." But the opportunity to serve at the ACE board is something that I didn't want to miss, first because of the historic respect that I have for the work that ACE has done historically, right? But also because Ted Mitchell was at the helm, right? If you go and you read his official bio, you would know that he was a very boring student, getting BA, master's, and PhD in the same institution. Come on, right? Okay, and it was Stanford, right? But it's okay. And then he moved to positions of faculty and administration over at Dartmouth, dean and vice chancellor over at UCLA, and then leading with great distinction Occidental College for 6 or 7 years, if memory serves me right. After that, Ted had other roles, always in higher ed, always in the space of innovation. And he got tapped to serve in the Department of Education under the Obama administration, where a number of really important initiatives were really led by Ted in that space. So great trajectory. We're lucky at ACE to recruit him to become our CEO and president in 2017. And I am so happy that I get to work with Ted. I am so happy. And in my prayers every morning, I include one for him, because this is a time when we need all great leadership in higher ed on board, right? And it's a time both to defend the many things that we do well, and defend them with integrity, and defend them with data, and defend them with examples from all the different sectors that represent higher ed, not just one set of stories. And Ted can do that anytime on his sleep. But it's also a time, right, to internally in higher ed invite us, right, to do things better, to innovate, to think differently, to look under the hood, right, and improve it, because we're mission-driven institutions. And Ted also has no fear in being able to say, here's some of the things where we need to do better, right? And because I believe in our capacity to do that, is also because I can stand and defend, like he's been doing it, and like very few people have been doing publicly, the great work that we do in higher ed. So have no doubt that as the board chair of ACE, it is a pleasure to have Ted at the helm. And I hope that at least for 3 more years, right, he stays up for the fight, because we need him. And I couldn't think really of a better speaker to launch this historic program here at Baruch than Ted Mitchell. So could you please join me in giving Senor Mitchell a big round of applause.
So I love this man. I really do, and I admire him and respect him as well. And you have great leadership, David, on the campus, Sherry on the campus, and certainly at the system level. And Provost Essing is not to be ignored as we're talking about all of these great leaders. So thank you for all you've done to promote this as well. So Phalo talks about 3 years. I think I'm probably good for about 3 weeks, because you just don't know who the next board chair is. I do, and I'm wetting my pants right now. So Phalo, thank you for everything that you've done for ACE and for me. For those of you who aim to be presidents, the most important thing you can't control is who your board chair is. And I got to tell you that I hit the daily double with Phalo. He has been a friend. He has helped ACE over some tough times, including some of my favorites when members from red states walked out of the room and said, "I haven't ever been here," before we took a vote. But that's the way it goes sometimes. I'm really, really, really excited about this program, and I want to congratulate all of you who've been hard at work on it. And Ryan and your team have done a remarkable, remarkable job. So we'll do this again, but thank you. So what Phalo was kind enough to not say is that I can't keep a job. And so if you actually go through this, I've done, I think, every job in a university except be provost. So I started my higher ed administration career locking the doors at 2:30 in the morning every morning at Stanford when you had keys still. So locking the doors, serving as an RA, then I was a teaching assistant, then I was an assistant professor, then I was a professor, then I was in the faculty senate, and the most lucrative job? Any guesses? Locking the doors. And it's not just because of the princely salary, it's because of the pictures. And the pictures that I took at 2:30 in the morning in the dorms at Stanford continue to help my children afford a college education. So lead from where you are, not necessarily from where you want to go. And let me tell you that door locking thing has a lot to say for it. So it's really an honor for me to be here today. It's also just a really important emotional thing for me to be here with you. As I said to a couple of you on the way in, this really feels like coming home to me. It's been a while. I live in DC. It's been a while since I have heard the words social justice, equity, inclusion, and social mobility said out loud, and said out loud with pride and hope and vision and a fierce determination to make it happen. That's what's brought me to higher education. That's what's going to keep me going. And I need you to refresh that for me, because it's in danger. And I think we all know that. So what does that mean? My job is to give you a little bit of an overview of higher education, talk about leadership. I'm going to do the same thing that Phalo did. So here's the skeleton. That was a joke. Start out with a joke. If you can be self-deprecating, that's even better. And then you sort of say something that's the transition to the really serious part. That's where we are now. And so I do want to talk about the state of higher education. I want to do it from a leadership perspective. And so I'd like you to think for a minute about Phalo's preparation to go talk to Congress. We worked this out earlier. He needs to go. And so I was going to give him the exit line. And so, nowhere in the handbook is, well, you have to prepare for 45 minutes of questioning by Elise Stefanik. That kind of isn't in the curriculum. And so, Phalo sat down. He talked with many of you I know. He talked with his counselors, small c. He probably spent some time with a lawyer or two, big C. Ignored most of what they had to say, which was good, but we won't go there. And he did something that he just talked about. He spoke about his values, and he spoke about the values of this institution. And he dared them to try to contest his values. That's the lesson, Phalo, and you taught us all that lesson. Imagine waking up in the morning in Orem, Utah on Wednesday. Astrid Tuminez, who's the president of Utah Valley, woke up on Wednesday morning, and she was already a mess. She was a mess because she had had, over the 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk came to campus, she had to navigate whether Charlie Kirk could come to campus. And so she had 1,000 signatures and people clamoring outside her office and outside her home saying, this person is fill in the blank. He has no place on our campus. And you had other people, some supporting those points of view, but more supporting the responsibility of a university to provide a forum for all ideas. And so, as she made that decision, what did she rely on? She didn't rely on polls. She didn't rely on what donors were saying. She didn't even, as I came to learn, ask her board. She looked in the mirror and she said, what should I do? What are our values here? And she invited Charlie Kirk, and we know the rest of that day's story. But let's follow up to the next days, when she had the responsibility that too many of us have from time to time of being a pastor to our community that's hurting. It's also not in the curriculum. How you handle a murder on your campus, and not like, the readings are very slim on that. But there she was, and she had to do something. And what did she do? She called on the community to come together. And if you read what you can on her Instagram feed, if you read the talks that she gave and the interviews that she gave, the community sessions, the open sessions that you had, you have a remarkable example of a woman who was not only on top of her game, but deeply, deeply connected with her soul. And so this is starting to sound all fluffy and gooey, but I mean it too. Because I think too often when we think about administration, and too often our critics, when they think about administration, think about technocratic things. They think about spreadsheets. They think about profit and loss. They think about the number of FTE per student. And I guess what I want to tell you is that's all good, and that's all really important. But if it's not connected to values, it's headed in the wrong direction. Pause. Best statement about values I've ever read. Right here. Your values speak when no one is watching. That was over the sink in our coffee room, and it was followed by wash your dishes. It's important every about 7 minutes to kind of hit another one. But I think that that's really right. And so it doesn't really matter. I've been watching the list of jobs flash up. And it really doesn't matter where you are on that list. If you can't be surprised in the moment by somebody walking into your office and saying, what drives you? What are your values? What are you trying to do in this job? Who are you serving in this job? If you can't answer those questions, you need a refresher. And my hope for this program, and I know that it will be lived in its delivery, is that this is a program that focuses on values, as well as, David, to your point, the value of the education, but values and value that are deeply embedded in the leadership that we want to bring to our institutions. And if it isn't, well, it can just join those other 104, did I get it right? 104 EdD programs around the country that are worthless. Stanford doesn't have one, so I can say that. UCLA has one. Actually, I built an EdD program at UCLA. It took me 3 weeks. Well, no. It took me 3 weeks because I forgot to ask the registrar, the provost, the chancellor, or the president. And the governor. He was going to be the easy one. And the governor. Anyway, so it all worked out in the end. But there were about 40 EdD students who, at the end of their program, had no program, no degree, no dissertation. So that's why I'm here and not there. I think values, yes. Importance, yes. Build into the curriculum, yes. A reality check for you every step away of your own leadership journey. And those values are more important than ever before. Why? Because America doesn't believe we have them. And I think that this is really the hardest message for all of us who care about higher ed, who've been changed by our higher ed experience, is that the American people don't believe that we care. They don't believe that we have values that are oriented around their students or their communities. They believe we're in this for ourselves. We've done tons and tons of surveys, mostly trying to find people who will tell us what we want to hear, and that gets very expensive because they don't. But we did a survey of parents of college students and asked them a very simple question: is your kid's college for-profit or not for-profit? And 85% said they were for-profit. So parents who are sending their kids to a college cannot distinguish between for-profit and not-for-profit, and they believe that most of us are for-profit and egged on by the same things that you would expect a for-profit corporation to be egged on by. We've done a number of surveys of students and worked with the Gallup organization to do that a couple of years ago. And we were particularly interested in students who left college with some credit and some debt and no degree. And the dominant answer to the basic question, why'd you leave, is no one cared about me. There was no one on campus with whom I was connected. And the research works the other way too. If you look at retention rates and you look at student success and you find out what's at the basis of that, it's one strong relationship with somebody who's not a student. It could be the guy who locks the doors at 2. It could be the academic advisor. It could be someone in financial aid. It could be a professor. It could be the president. But think about that. Students say they don't have anybody who cares about them. Parents think we're in it for the buck. And here we are. What does that mean? It means that we have, and I firmly believe this, we have a value orientation that is student-focused, community-focused, democracy-focused, social justice, social mobility, inclusion, equity. That's what brought us here. But it doesn't show. And so, Phalo talked about, being honest about the bad news. Where doesn't it show? Let's do the negative narrative about higher education. You could follow after me. Don't go to college. You don't need it. But if you're dumb enough to go to college, the following things will happen. You will leave without a degree, with a lot of debt. Maybe you'll have a degree, but it won't do you any good in the job market. And besides, you'll be brainwashed. Guess what? They're all partly true. And that's our problem, is that we need to face the fact that we have been on autopilot for 15 to 20 years. And we have allowed the same things to go on in the same way with the same outcome. The most persistent statistic in American higher education is the completion rate. 60%. 40% of the people who show up on our doorstep don't finish. Imagine, let's pretend we're a for-profit company. 100% of the people who walk into our store want to buy something. In fact, they've already put down a deposit for buying something. It's called a degree. They come to us because they want a degree or a certificate or a credential. 40% of them leave disappointed. Is there any wonder that the American public has lost faith in higher education? No wonder at all. We could go on. We could talk about student debt. We could talk about transfer and how hard it is to transfer credits back and forth. Talk about all of the reasons that students get disappointed. We could talk about the fact that most institutions still demand that students modify their lives to meet their structure, rather than this program, which is the right way and the opposite, to modify its structure to handle the lives that students are living. But we need to focus on job one. And I would say the job one is providing a legitimate opportunity for all students, undergraduate, graduate, to get the degree that they're seeking, and for us to focus on each one of them as if they were the one who mattered the most. So that's why institutions are changing the way they think about career orientation. That's why institutions are thinking about more asynchronous programs and opportunities. It's why more institutions are thinking about prior credit through either like military service or credit earned from high school. And our job as leaders in higher education is to accept those, to look at those, to build around those, putting students at the center and our values around the importance of a student's trajectory as the motivating factor for whatever we do in the financial aid office, in the registrar's office, in the bursar's office, in facilities. We're all in this together. At ECE, we took on a new project 3 years ago, which was the Carnegie classifications of higher education institutions. So we now are running that machine. And we added a new dimension to classifications this year to put your money where my mouth is and focus on student success. And so we have, for the first time, organized classified institutions by the degree to which they provide access to students and the degree to which they provide economic opportunity to students. Just think about a simple 2x2. Up in the Northeast, the far upper corner where you have high access and high, in this case, earnings, guess who's there? Baruch. You have good company. You have good company. There are about 400 institutions of different types and shapes that are there. 400 out of 4,600 institutions, so 10% roughly. And the way we did this, we did it to measure student success, not institutional fame, not size of endowment, irrelevant. It's just, who'd you let in? How'd they do? How did they do? And in the middle is, how did you do? And so you have institutions, you have Baruch. You have other institutions that people don't think of as engines of mobility. Ball State in Indiana. My favorite, the Blackfeet Community College on the reservation in Montana. These are institutions, and we group them together, right? So the Blackfeet aren't competing against Baruch. They're competing against other rural community colleges for this designation of opportunity colleges. Sure, there are some names that we all know. Irvine, Baruch, everybody knows. Howard, you've heard of Ohio State. You've heard of Penn State. They play football, I think, sometimes. But aside from the football players, their students do really well. Wow. Sorry, Philo. But the idea behind the opportunity colleges was to finally measure on a national basis how institutions were doing with Job One, educating undergraduate students and giving them a future. And so we're going to continue to do this forever, I hope. And we've begun to see some effects of the Opportunity College designation. We've seen foundations come to us and ask for information about opportunity colleges. Mackenzie Scott, who is doing her philanthropy in a very, I think, sophisticated but secret way, has asked us to help her with some of that work. Others have as well. And I think to my joy, and we haven't talked to the governor of New York yet, but states that are engaged in performance fund work are latching on to the Opportunity College algorithm as a way to help put money where things are working. And so we're hoping to have many more states involved in that. So philanthropy, state support. There used to be a time, you might remember, when the federal government gave grants to institutions. So 2023, I know. But when they start up again, we're very anxious that these funding agencies use the Carnegie metrics as a way of, again, putting resources into institutions that are serving the right students and doing a good job at it. And that includes not just the undergraduate program, but research as well. So where does this all lead? We're not going to change America's mind about colleges and universities unless we prove our value to that public. And the only way we can do that is by wearing our values on our sleeves, and to make sure that every interaction we have, colleague to colleague, colleague to student, embodies the values that we have for our institutions, for our students, and for America. So I think that this means that we need to open doors to our institution. Baruch is a model of that, and open doors from our institutions into the so-called real world. And Baruch is doing that. So I know that I'm here speaking to the choir, but I'm speaking from my heart, and I'm thanking you for living my values, and I know yours as well. We talked, and now this is the last part of one of these talks, is we talked a little bit about whether it would be fun for you to pepper me with questions or oppositional comments, and I welcome both, but we do have some time. So that's what I've got for you, and I look forward to your questions and comments. Questions, comments, tomatoes? Want me to tell you about some of those pictures? Great. We'll have breakfast served at about 7:30 tomorrow morning. And so it's a great question. And I think we all talk a lot about AI doing this, AI doing that. AI isn't going to do anything that we don't tell it to do. And so I think that it's really important for us to remember we're in control. And that's sort of number one. And number two, any of you major in philosophy in college? Thank you. Thank you. If you have been reading the newspaper and you think there's no room in the world for moral philosophy, you're kind of missing the point about AI, is that being in control, we really have to ask for higher education and business and everywhere else, what is it that we want these tools to do for us, and how can we make sure that there are guardrails around that so that that equation doesn't flip in the opposite direction. Not easy, and in the current policy environment, really difficult. In that thing, the big beautiful something, I think you probably noticed that states were prohibited from regulating AI for 10 years. There's a lot of mischief that can happen in 10 years. And so at the institutional level, and I'm not talking about a single institution, but higher ed, the law, medicine, I think that it's incumbent on us to be able to develop not just policy documents, but ethics documents about how we use in our various roles, how we use AI. Pause, new paragraph. I think that we're done with the students are going to use AI to cheat. I think that was a flash. We all recognized it. Students recognized it. Woo, woo, woo. And now we're at the next place, which is how can we use AI as teachers to expand the way we deliver knowledge, how we assess learning, and use the tools to create things that, frankly, you can't cheat on. And why? Not just because you can't cheat on them, but because they're far more interesting than a 5-page paper on Nietzsche or a 50-page paper on creating a new EdD. Sorry. It was 640. So simulations. Back and three-time back and forth with an AI tool who's trained to push you on ideas. Well, where did that come from? How do you know? What about this? All of this is now available to us, and I think that there's going to be a huge challenge. I think faculty are going to be hugely challenged over the next 5 years to up their game, to not allow AI to control them, but to control AI to the point where it's helping them bring out the best in their students. From an administrative leadership point of view, how many of you get emails once a week from people campaigning for public office? Keep your hands up. How many of you get emails from candidates every day? Uh-huh. How many of you get emails from people trying to sell you some AI product? It's gonna happen, probably at the same level of annoyance as campaign emails. So the first thing you need to do as a leader around AI is to figure out what you want and who's going to provide it for you, because the odds are that your faculty and your staff aren't going to be able to do it for you. But there are plenty of people who want to try to convince you that they have the answer, and you just have to develop a crap detector that will help you through that. So those are sort of my first off. They're not actually off the top of my head, but. Yeah, I think that AI will, in education, we're going to be one of the fortunate places that AI will increase the demand on human knowledge, just for the reasons that I was talking about, is that it's hard to mass produce a course, and lots of people have tried. You know, there have been MOOCs, there have been other places that think that if you just put it out there, that's all you need to do. AI is going to try that, and it's going to fail. And our differentiator will be AI that helps people develop skills and can be named and quantified and used in the workplace. And that's where we will be assessed at the end, is do students have those skills, and are they useful in their workplace, wherever it is. John? Includes that.
things in my portfolio as well. And the whole question of completion, student success is my number one priority forward. But serving the community in every way we could is being a good example of that as well. And those two things, community college success and serving the community, are often kind of not given as much attention as they might. Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, these are great and hardy perennials in the, as you know, in the ed policy world. So, quick ones. We have, when I worked in the department, one of our continuing frustrations was on the way we collect data and the kind of data we collect. So community colleges get screwed every time IPEDS makes a report because community colleges enrollments are discounted. Completion rate means very different things in community college than it does in a four-year institution. I have a good friend who is who educated me on this early on in my time as undersecretary, in which he said, look, Ted, you need to understand the welder who gets a degree is the worst welder in the class. And it took me a second to get that, but it was because everybody else got hired before her or him. And that's a real thing. And so we need to get much better at counting what counts, and community colleges are sort of number one in that. Data is the biggest problem for community colleges, so that if we can have it, and we ran into this in the Carnegie thing too, so we actually have a whole different algorithm for community colleges. Of course, they're off the charts on access, and their earnings really don't look right, and so we've had to make adjustments in the algorithm to make community colleges make sense to them. And we'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to work with the department, should there be one, to make better data to collect better data and make it available. On the community and the adult and continuing education side, it's always puzzled me that universities actually have the university of the future. It's sitting right there in continuing and adult education. If you look at the things that we're talking about, classes that meet the needs of students for short-term as well as long-term learning, courses that are built around a student's needs and demands, courses that are offered around a student's schedule. Well, we've been doing this for, I think, like since the University of Wisconsin first planted seeds in the university extension programs. And so I think my hope is that there will be a coming together of adult and continuing education and the regular curriculum in a way that will allow universities to look for different kinds of courses and different kinds of credit without thinking that they're breaking something, because it's right there. And you know, you've been there for a long time.
If I might just briefly mention one other thing as kind of a shout out to June. And on the community, it's a little self-serving, but on the community college level, we do have a program that is unique and incredibly successful in ASAP.
Right.
And it started with 4,000 students, it started with 25,000, and it's almost more than double the graduation. And if you talk about performance-based kinds of things and what works, my view is when we got almost $80 million to go to 25,000, we should be thinking about, and it's now in 11 states and all over the country, we should be thinking about things that work. And I just wanted to
Yeah.
reinforce what you said.
Well, first time I came to any CUNY institution was to give LaGuardia Community College a grant. We had them then to support ASAP and to expand it. It really is, and you think about all the ways in that negative narrative. Think about all the ways in which ASAP addresses the negative narrative. Nobody cares about me? No, that's not right. People aren't helping me get over the things that I, like a broken radiator. Yeah, well, ASAP does that. So I think that we have a lot to learn from ASAP in particular and community colleges in general. The other place we need to learn from community colleges is in their relationship to the local labor markets, where they have much tighter connections, and we in the four-year world can ride on those, and we can promote our colleagues in the community college sector in doing that and building those connections. I thought you were headed toward graduate programs. And so let me insult graduate programs. If you look at, and this is kind of the early warning, when you look at where the current administration is going to go next in terms of higher ed reform, it's master's programs. And there's zero question that their master's programs will be next. And you saw the first shots over the bow in the big beautiful bill when they reduced Grad Plus and they put a lifetime cap on borrowing. And it's it's an institution by institution thing. CUNY is good, but if you look at some places, I'm having breakfast tomorrow morning with the president of a university in Southern California that has Trojans as a mascot. Does that get us close? And their Masters in Social Work program is the poster child for this. The average USC Masters in Social Work leaves with $200,000 in debt. The average starting salary for a social worker in Los Angeles County is $47,000 a year. It's just not, that's not, anyway. So they're next. And so my advice to all leaders in higher education is tend to your master's programs now because it's going to be ugly soon. Okay, thank you all very much. It's been a delight.
Please join me in thanking Ted again. That was fantastic. It's an honor to join with all of you this evening as we launch the first doctorate in higher ed administration at a public university in New York City. On behalf of the higher ed program, I want to thank Chancellor Matos Rodriguez, President Wu, Provost Essig, Dean Ryan, and all the other leadership at Baruch and CUNY for your unwavering commitment to our expanding program. Mostly, thank you to our small but mighty full-time higher education faculty. Will all higher education full-time faculty please stand? Our program also greatly benefits from our adjuncts. We have the best set of adjuncts, I think, of any program around. So will all the actual and potential adjuncts please stand so we can thank you. We also have a really skilled team of administrators who work with us, some of whom have earned their master's degrees with us. They help ensure the success of this event and the launch of our new program. My first talk when I joined CUNY as the founding president of Stella and Charles Gutman Community College was when former HEA faculty director John McGarrity invited me to address his annual gathering of students and alumni here at Baruch. He wanted them to hear about our university's first new college in 4 decades. I was very impressed by his warm welcome and the excellence of the students in the program. Wherever I've traveled within CUNY, and many times on other campuses, I've met our graduates. They consistently offer high praise for our faculty. We are honored and humbled to have a number of the most distinguished leaders in higher ed join us. First, is Tim Lynch here?
Yes.
Tim Lynch, please stand. Tim is the president of the College of Staten Island. Tim, I have to mention that I met one of our brand new students today who's in Ashley's class. She graduated from CSI, and we were saying very good things about you. And I hope that you get to see her here this evening. She's here. Great. We also have with us a number of national leaders. John Gardner, who founded the John M. Gardner Institute for the Improvement of Higher Education, started the First Year Experience, started more programs than you can count in higher ed. I'm pleased to announce I learned from our provost that we won an award given in the name of John Gardner and Betsy Barefoot. John, thank you for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say atypically briefly for me, I am from a sort of purple state, way south of the George Washington Bridge. I am here for a fix, to be reminded that you are the Statue of Liberty for American higher education. There's nobody like you. Keep it up. We need you.
Kalani Leifer, whose father is on the faculty at Stanford and who's a son of Palo Alto, founded Co-op, which I think is arguably the most important innovation. He provides internships for thousands of students across the country, which leads them to get good jobs. He did that partly based upon looking at CUNY graduates 5 years out, whether they were earning the living wage as one might define it. He started Co-op, and I can tell you students from Gutman and across CUNY are earning a living wage. And Kalani was one of the first Obama fellows. Kalani, thank you for being here. Drew Koch, who will be joining our advisory committee, is the CEO of the John Gardner Institute for the Improvement of Higher Education. He's done a brilliant job leading many, many institutions across the country in transforming their approach to higher ed, and he's an ACE fellow. Canon James Calloway is the General Secretary Emeritus of the College and Universities of the Anglican Communion, where he's provided important international leadership in higher ed for many years. Dr. Chris Rosa, with many years of experience at IUPUI, is now the CEO of the Henry Viscardi School out on Long Island, where he's establishing the first museum associated with persons with disabilities that's going to make a really high impact nationally. I think that museum is going to open next month. I urge you to get out to the island and see it. Chris. Beyond praising our faculty, our students always speak enthusiastically about each other. We have cultivated a true community of friends within the program. Current students and graduates have formed a remarkable network that provides both personal and professional support. Each semester, we feature our graduates on panels where they share insights with current students and fellow alumni. Our alumni are in positions that span the spectrum, from chiefs of staff at prestigious universities to the registrar of a Big Ten institution to deans of distinguished schools on both coasts. The master's program has served the nation well by preparing outstanding students to advance in their careers. As the campus most often ranked first for its contribution to social mobility, Baruch College is the ideal program, the ideal home for our new program. The fact that this doctoral program grows out of the existing master's program that is more than 40 years old will ensure its excellence and success. It's been wonderful to work with Dean Sherry Ryan and other Mark's colleagues in building the program, and no one is better suited to launch our doctoral degree than Ryan Coughlin. I first came to know Ryan when we both worked at Stella and Charles Gutman Community College. He went on to support the growth of a doctoral degree in educational leadership out on Long Island. It didn't take much to convince him to join us at Mark's. Like the rest of us, he greatly values working with CUNY students. Ryan's teaching, research, and service rank among the very best of any faculty member I've ever known over many decades. Please join me in thanking and welcoming Ryan Coughlin, who will share some background about our new program.
Thank you, Scott. It's been such a joy to work with you for so many years now. I made a really terrible rookie mistake. I had my hands in everything as we planned out this event, and I somehow put myself behind everybody else. And this isn't my natural space. I have my students from my class, because it's class time tonight, are here, and that's where I'm most comfortable. But I'm going to make my way through the speech, so bear with me, okay? I've always seen myself as a teacher, and that's what's most important to me, and that's what's most important to what we're doing in our program. I talk to our students quite regularly about what brings them to our master's program, and I'm sure I'll have those same conversations with our doctoral students as they start joining us. But everybody has a unique journey, right? Everybody has a mentor who inspired them and said, I really want to do that for someone else in higher ed. Or they have their own personal experience with family, being a first person to go to college, supporting a younger sibling and doing the same, and wanting to be able to spread that and support other people in that way. And that's what makes me most excited about the work we do. Everyone here has a real strong sense of purpose. Now, I have not had a linear journey to this space by any means. I came to New York close to 20 years ago now, and I started as a New York City teaching fellow. I worked in a public high school in New York City, and that's where I really learned that our education system is both fueling our city and dependent on our city at the same time. And for so long, we have not had an EdD program like this in New York to contribute to that. And I'm really, really proud that we're doing that at this point. Along the way, I've taught community college undergraduate students, senior college undergraduate students, I've taught master's degree students, I've taught PhD students, all within CUNY or within New York City for my high school students. So I'm really excited to finally add EdD New York City students to that list tonight. Now, I'm going to turn to my written remarks now. I think I did a good job of summarizing the first 3 pages. I want to give you some details about the program. I'm not going to go into, I want to sort of give that high-level space. And you've heard some of this already, but it is important for us to share a little taste of what we're doing and why it's so important. So I want to talk about a few things that make us distinctive. First, we've proudly earned membership in the Carnegie Project on the Education Doctorate. Now, from what I've been told, I think we're the only institution that has ever earned that status without having a program in position already. And that's because I've worked very closely with folks there. I had experience out on Long Island with my former colleague Tricia Kress in an EdD program out there where we were part of CPED. But it's really important to me to be part of that. And it's important to our institution because what we're doing is really trying to re-envision doctoral education. And we're putting a focus through an EdD program on developing practitioner scholars. And so folks who join our program are going to develop both the practitioner skills and the scholar skills and bring that together to lead in our spaces. Folks here are going to complete dissertations in practice after developing a strategic project that they implement wherever they're working. And the hope is that those projects will actually go off and really change those institutions, right? I think my dissertation has just sort of disappeared somewhere into a library database, but these will really meaningfully change what's going on. The second thing that makes our program distinctive, I have 3. My husband is a consultant and he speaks in 3s, so I've learned to do that. It is our location in the Mark School. It is very rare to have an education program embedded in a school for policy. And by doing that, our students are not going to be thinking about education in isolation. They're going to be realizing the ways in which education and policy interact with one another. And that is going to provide an incredible benefit to them and to all the folks that they serve with this degree in the future. And the third part, and this has been spoken about quite a bit tonight, and it's really important to emphasize that particularly now, but our equity-minded leadership focus is not an add-on to the program. It's an organizing principle. Every single course, every single project, every single learning experience is designed to develop leaders who advance justice, access, and opportunity for all students. And I can tell you, I've been working on building out the asynchronous modules for our first course, and it is there. It is in every single part of it. From my nearly 2 decades of experience in New York City's public education system, I've learned that the most powerful learning happens when theory meets practice, and when research informs action, and when diverse voices come together to solve meaningful problems. And our students are going to learn from research-active faculty, like the folks who were standing up a little while ago, as well as leaders in our field. And about half of your courses will be led by research-active faculty, and the other half will be led by adjuncts. I'm looking at one right now who's developed one of our course, Rob. And these are folks who are living and breathing the work that you're going to go off in the world to do. And that's distinctive about our program as well. Also, events like this is not a one-off thing. Now, it feels really special. It's incredible that we have Ted here to provide the wisdom that he shared with us tonight. I'm so grateful for that. Ted's probably going to be invited back, and you're going to be engaging with these leaders throughout your entire time here. Let's see what's on the next page. This has been mentioned again, right? And this is really important to me, but we have been working really hard at this fully asynchronous online format so that we can serve the working professionals, so we can draw upon the fact that folks are actually engaged in this work, but that it's really hard to do a degree program while you're deeply engaged in this work, particularly now. And this is what matters to me and the folks who join. I'm probably going to frustrate you endlessly about this, but online is not going to mean that you're working in isolation at all. We're creating a connected community of practitioner scholars who will support each other throughout their 3-year journey with us. Every single week in my classes, there's a set of collaborative engagement activities that are going to require you to actually meet with 1 or 2 of your classmates. You'll be able to schedule that. And there's all kinds of ways. I'm looking at one of my students now who knows how wackadoo I can be. It will be fun. It will be fun and it will be engaging. So now I'm going to ask for all your help, okay? The program creates opportunities for all of us to strengthen our field together at a time when we really need it. We've designed the program with excellence, service, and forward-thinking ingenuity as its foundation, but we need your support to continuously strengthen this work. So I'm asking you to contribute by sharing ideas to improve our curriculum, not just today, but well into the future. You're the leaders at the forefront of our field, and your expertise is essential to ensuring that our program evolves so our graduates are always prepared to meet the contemporary challenges in higher education. We also need your help to bring an ever more diverse group of students to both our master's degree program and our doctoral degree program. We serve an incredible group of people, and we can serve even more people, and we're really excited to do that, and with your help, we can bring as many folks to this really rich program. And then the last thing, and perhaps the most important, is that we need a lot of folks here to make this work well. So we are going to need more adjunct faculty who know how to lead in our field. We're going to need people who want to serve on dissertation committees, and we're also going to need people to mentor our students. So reach out to me, reach out to the other folks who are part of our team here if you'd like to be part of that conversation. I have a growing list of folks who want to be involved, and I'd love to have more folks on that list. So thank you all for being here. I did not give a nice long list of thank yous. I have it written. We tried to sort of spread it out, but I just want to note one thing. It wasn't just the people who have spoken here tonight who have been part of this. I've had conversations with my current students. I've had countless conversations with alumni who have given us really powerful ideas that we've used to design this program. The staff, a lot of the staff at our school who have a master's degree from our program already have just been so deeply and incredibly involved in making this a success. Obviously, the faculty members and leadership have as well, all the way up to my friend Angel Vasquez, who's over here, who I reached out to because the bureaucracy involved required that we had to steward this proposal through Governor Hochul's office at the end of the day, and he helped with that as well. So we're here because a lot of people pulled their weight to make this happen, and I'm so grateful for all of you. So with that, I'm going to turn things back to Dean Ryan, who's going to bring us home and conclude the evening.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to work with you and Scott, and what an amazing amount of work that you've done in these last years. So looking forward to the launch of the EdD. I want to thank all of you for joining us here this evening. It is so wonderful and inspiring to see all of you, to see the important guests here. I want to express my deepest gratitude to our speakers. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ted. Phenomenal. Your commitment, enthusiasm have really made this milestone possible, and we can't thank you tonight. So as we look ahead, I invite you to continue, as Ryan said, connecting with this network that has started here this evening. There are many ways to engage with us to help shape the future of higher education. It's really happening here in this room, and I want this to continue. I'd like to conclude this evening by announcing a new Marks School Award, which we have named the Marks School Higher Education Champion Award. This is to be given to a higher education professional who's demonstrated a long-term dedication to improving higher education, as well as leadership in overcoming systemic, social, or institutional barriers, and who embodies the Marks School's values of public service, resilience, and excellence. And this year's inaugural award goes to none other than Ted Mitchell, President of the American Council on Education. So thank you very much. It's so important. There you go. Thank you, thank you. Fantastic, thank you so much. This is fantastic. Okay, networking, more drinks, and thank you all for being here.